no, my phone just fell in between the crack of the seat. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to Gabbin With Gab. So today we are going to be talking about burnout and just mental drainage and how to kind of cope with both of those things. So let's get on with it. So I just wanted to apologize first of all for not posting last week. I had multiple essays to do, and then so when I finally was like, I don't have any essays to do on Thursday, I had to go shopping for stuff, and then after I came back, my head was pounding, so then I was like, I can't do it this week. So that's what kind of leads into this topic of burnout, because also today I woke up extremely, I was dreading going into school today. I was like, I don't have the energy to talk to anyone or deal with anyone right now. I just need some time to myself and to kind of refresh. And so today I didn't go in. Instead, I drove to the beach, and what I like to do is in order for me to, recharge after burnout, I like to stimulate my brain in a calming way. So then what I did today was I drove to the beach because I like the scenery. I stay in my car, and then I, watch the clouds. I like to, look for pictures in the clouds because I find, it takes a certain kind of imagination to see things in the clouds, and it's just beautiful. Everyone can see different things. And then also I just took some time. I read some poetry, and I took time off my phone just to really sit with my thoughts. I was I just need to be alone. I feel like that's not really talked about enough, the importance of just spending time with yourself. I feel like we don't really discuss it. It's okay to be alone. It's important to be alone. You need to learn how to be alone in order to be with other people. And sometimes other people can teach you how to be alone in a healthy way. But that is such an important skill, is learning how not to rely on other people and learning how to mentally recharge by yourself. Because burnout is something anyone can feel. And I just felt kind of blah, and I was even though the past few days, I've been the past few weeks, honestly, I've been pretty happy, but that's also a good thing. I used to look at whenever I would be sad just one day after being happy for a while, I used to be so upset when that would happen, because then I'd be oh my god, all my progress is ruined, all this, all that. But no, emotions are supposed to fluctuate and change. They are not a constant thing. You will never, ever be in a consistent state of happiness for the rest of your life. There's more of a fulfillment of being whole. And I feel we don't talk about that either. Being complete or whole instead of being happy. Everyone thinks I have to be happy. That's my end goal. But it's more about knowing the different depths of your emotions and being able to deal with them. And that's where wholeness comes through. You're able to accept the fact that you're not going to be happy every single minute, every single day of your life, but you learn how to cope through that. And it's okay to be sad one day, and those are your emotions, and you can feel out all of your emotions. Your emotions are valid. Every single emotion that flows through you, that emotion is valid. It is something you're feeling. Oh my god, that lady got so close to my car. Anyways, that sheer panic of fear right now of that lady coming near my car. You're allowed to feel those things. So in my English class, we're writing essays about short stories, and one part of the essay is we have to reflect and relate to it at one point, and then so we asked, like, oh, do we need, like, a quote, like, for the reflection, because she said there should be at least one quote per paragraph, and then she said yes, and then one of the, like, example she said, she was like, well, think of your favorite, like, line from a movie, like, what's your favorite line of the movie? And then so I've been thinking about that recently, like, my favorite line from one of my favorite movies would have to be That's the Thing About Pain, It Demands to Be Felt, and that's from The Fault in Our Stars. A great movie. 10 out of 10 recommend it if you want to bawl your eyes out. I cry literally every time I watch it. I know the fucking ending. Same with The Notebook. Like, I'm literally crying just thinking about it right now. I'm tearing up. Like tears are literally forming in my eyes. This is kind of sad. I'm just thinking about the movie, and, like, I'm not even watching it, I'm crying. Anyways, like, I love when, like, those lines resonate. Like, I love just holding on to those lines. And, like, another one of my favorite films is Life is Beautiful. That is an amazing film. And everyone should watch that at least once in their life. It's in Italian. And, like, I watched it the first time in my Italian class junior year, and it was during hybrid year, which I was so thankful for, because I was, like, my day off, like, at home, when I was watching it on the Google Meet, like, was, like, the saddest part of the movie. So it's like, thank fucking God, because I was sobbing. I was full of sobbing, laying on my bed, watching this movie. I was a wreck. But, like, I feel like any sort of literature, movie, music, the most powerful ones are the ones that break our heart and shatter them and make us feel completely raw. When they give the rawest reactions. Because that's real art. Art is supposed to make you feel something. Whether it's fear, whether it's grief, whether it's joy, whether it's despair. Those emotions are the most valuable part of the art that's created. Like, I feel like art's, like, the job of art is to evoke emotion from the viewer, the observer, the listener, the reader. Like, any sort of feeling you get from that is the most valuable thing from, like, it's the most valuable result of that art. Like, I love art so much, all forms of art. It's just beautiful. Like, the power to break someone's heart and heal it all in one. Recently, by recently I mean, like, today, I was reading Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. Rupi Kaur is one of my favorite poets. And I'm literally almost fucking done with this book that I just started today. Like, I can always finish her books so easily, because they're just, like, I never want to put them down. I have, like, 4 different books on my front seat. 2 of them are Rupi Kaur. One is R.H. Sin. Like, those are my 2 favorite poets. What's the sticky note say? I love, like, looking back at, like, books that I, like, read and, like, wrote in before, and then, like, seeing, like, what, like, I, like, picked out, and, like, what I, like, I like looking back and seeing, like, how far I've grown as a person, and being like, oh, I felt this way about this book, oh, I felt this way about this book, oh, blah, 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 like, oh, this resonated with me, well, this resonates with me now. Like, I feel like we don't do that enough. A lot of times, once we know the ending to the movie, we don't watch it again. And that's sad. I love rewatching movies. I like seeing which parts I pick up on. The more, I feel like, the more times I watch it, the more I can gain from it. And that's the same with, like, emotional growth. The more times you feel a certain emotion and the way you react to it, you can learn more about yourself. You say, like, especially if you write down how these things make you feel, you go, well, this event made me feel this way, and I reacted in this way, and had this outcome. I don't like this outcome. So maybe this event, when it happens again, and I have this emotion, I'll have a different reaction. Because you can't control your emotions, but you can control the reactions that come from it. So that's like, for example, today I felt burnt out. I didn't push my limits by then going to school and being more emotionally drained and then being miserable for the rest of the day. I said, I can't do it today. That's okay. And I took a break. Like, that is, knowing your limits is so important. Like, because this weekend, like, I'm not, like, I haven't been, like, so, like, crazy social lately. So then, like, this weekend I was kind of, like, my social battery kind of ran out because I went to, like, a concert at, like, my friend's school with a few of my friends, and then and I had work that day. Then the next day I had work and then hung out with my other friend. And then the next day, like, I was cleaning my room, so I didn't really get time for myself. Then the next day, like, I had school and I hung out with my friends. So, like, I was like, I just need a day simply by myself. No interaction with anyone other than the Starbucks drive-thru worker. And just, like, peace and quiet. Like, I feel like that normally, like, if I had this feeling, I would just stay in bed and just not even deal with anything. Like, I'd be like, oh, I'm burnt out, let's just stay in bed. But then I feel even shittier when I just stay in bed and don't do anything and I just scroll on my phone for hours. You know, like, I was like, let's do something productive at the same time and, like, not feel as shitty. Like, when I was reading, then it, like, sparks, like, ideas in my brain, and then I start writing my own poems and things like that. Like, so the way I looked at the situation, like, I changed my way of reacting, and that's the difference. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm, like, obsessed with observing, like, tiny things going on around me. Like, right now, I looked out, like, my rearview mirror, and, like, I'm just watching this person, like, do something by the dumpster. I don't really know if they're taking things out or putting things in. But, like, it's just so crazy to me that there's, like, 7 billion people on this earth. And everyone's doing their own individual things. And everyone has a billion different life paths. Like, there are so many, like, possibilities for how your life turns out. There are so many different things you can do, and I feel like that just, like, the way that everyone has such a different life, like, that just blows my mind. And, like, I've learned, like, you have to just, if there's something you want to do, just fucking go for it, because, like, you could be anywhere, and you were born into your life. And I was watching this one TikTok about someone who's a medium. And then she was saying that, like, whatever your higher power is that resonates with you, like, you have a soul contract before you're born. So every desire that you have in your heart is in your soul contract. That is meant for you. And it's just a matter of you pursuing it. And then, like, I always think just, like, when I'm older, like, I'm like, I don't want to, like, look back and be like, oh, well, I should have done this. Oh, well, I should have done this one and this one. Like, I could have done it 1,000%. Because, like, you have that gut feeling. Like, you know you can do it. Like, even if people are doubting you, you know you can do it. It's just a matter of you being like, well, fuck all of you. I'll still do it myself. Like, sometimes the best ideas come from people doubting you. And, like, you just have to really trust, like, your inner gut. And sometimes certain versions of what you want don't work out because it leads to a better version. like, originally, like, a few years ago, this is, like, a pretty good example of this. A few years ago, like, I wanted, like, to start a YouTube channel, but I didn't really know what I was gonna do. Like, this was during quarantine, and I was like, I didn't really know what I was gonna do. And then, like, I finally was like, well, I love talking about certain things, like, and then I was going to start a radio show at my school, and then, like, they approved it and everything, but then I just never got a chance to, like, go and talk to the person, like, that was down there, and then I said, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it myself, and then I started the podcast, and, like, this is, like, talking to you guys is, like, another form of therapy for me, honestly. Like, it helps me really, like, Jesus, someone's honking. Like, their car alarm just went off, but whatever. Like, it just seriously helps me, like, go through my own experiences and, like, cope with them in, like, another form of a healthy way. Instead of, because I love writing and things like that. So, like, discussing your experiences in any form is such a healing thing. Once you accepted them, you really can't heal from anything until you, like, that's the first point of, like, healing, is accepting, like, this happened. And then that's how you, once you accept that certain things happen, that's how you can, like, figure out, like, what step you need to take from here. Like, think about, like, say you fall on the sidewalk, and, like, now your knee is bleeding. You look at your knee, and you're like, well, I accept that, like, my knee is scraped up and I am bleeding. Now I know, since my knee is scraped up and I am bleeding, I know I'm not just gonna put, like, a fucking thing of water on it and then just let it, like, continue bleeding. Like, I need to get a bandage. And I need to get, like, bacitracin and put it on. You know, like, you learn, like, you don't put a Band-Aid on a cold sore. That's not gonna do anything for it. Like, once you accept, it's the same, like, external wounds and internal wounds have similar healing. Once you accept, like, what you have, you don't put a Band-Aid on a cold. Once you accept, oh, I have a cold, you drink orange juice. Once you accept, oh, well, I have this inner pain, I have this inner trauma, you deal with your next step. Because that looks different for everyone. Some people, I personally believe everyone should go to therapy, but that doesn't always work because some people don't believe therapy is for them. And, like, that's okay, because it's not going to help you if you don't believe in it. But, like, if you accept, you go, this is too big for me to handle just by myself. I can't heal this in a healthy way. I can't cope with this in a healthy way by myself. I need to see someone and see what they say to do. You just talking about your experiences with them is such a huge step. You just running through, well, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. You accepted that this happened. And you open up how to, like, deal with them. Like, then they go, well, okay. Because a lot of times, the shit that happened to you, it happened to someone else. And therapists meet a lot of people. They at least will know about a similar thing or a similar way to deal with it. And if not, they'll help you figure it out. Like, people, when they put their minds together, can do beautiful things. And healing is one of them. You are not alone in anything. Even if you just talk to your best friend about it, as long as the person you're talking to, or a close relative, as long as you feel safe with that person, that's the most important thing. And if you don't have anyone you feel safe talking to, you can talk to me. Like, even if you feel like there's no one in this world you can trust to hear what you have going on, go to Target, go to the dollar store, buy a notebook. Trust yourself. Trust yourself first. Discuss with yourself what happened. Write down everything that happened. Sorry, there was a bug on me. But write down everything that happened. And then think through it. Be like, okay, well, this happened. Okay, well, now let's take some time, do some research on other people that this happened to. Like, let's look up ways to cope. Even if it's just, I think I should get outside more and connect with nature and connect with myself. Do some inner child work. Do some shadow work. Whatever you have to do, as long as that does not harm you or anyone else. That is the most important part of healing. Like, I feel like as a society, we are all so tough on ourselves. And another one of my favorite quotes, but this one's from a TV show, is from the Fosters. And it's, we judge ourselves way harsher than anyone else judges us. And that is so true. We are our own biggest fucking critics. Our mind is so powerful, but it's also so dangerous. Like, you really have to just... Jesus, what the hell was that noise? But you really just have to be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Like, being gentle with yourself is one of the most important things you have to do when you're healing. You have to be like, well, healing is a really long process. It's a rough process. I'm not gonna lie, it's not fucking easy. It takes time. Because you're also going to think you had regressed because, oh, you feel this way now. You felt, oh, like, at one point, this was when I first started therapy. Like, it was within, like, my first month of therapy. Like, I was, like, doing pretty good because I was, like, talking everything out, and I thought, like, I was healed. I thought I was fixed. Like, I was like, okay, I'm all done. Like, it's okay. And then, like, my dad did something that made me so upset, and I was like, he ruined my progress, like, this, that. And then, like, I was like, whatever. And, like, I let my anger out, whatever. But the thing is, like, it's not like I was just, like, magically cured. And then, another time, this was, like, a year after, like, I was talking to my therapist because I was like, I was so happy for all this time, like, but now I don't feel anything. Like, I feel numb again. And, like, because I go to therapy for grief. And, like, she said to me, she's like, well, Gabby, grieving someone takes a lot out of you. That is a loss. That is a giant loss in your life. There are going to be times, I'm literally crying just thinking about this, because this was so powerful when she said this to me. She said, there are going to be times in your life where you're going to feel empty. There is a part of your heart that is missing right now. And that hole is essentially never going to be filled. Like, there are other ways for you to feel complete. But sometimes you are going to miss certain people. Like, whether that person died or whether they just left your life, certain people just aren't coming back. And, like, that shit fucking hurts. Like, that is one of the most painful things. And there is going to be a loss. You're going to feel that yearning for them at any point in time. Like, my mom passed away 10 years ago and I still miss her. Like, there is still some times where I cry because I'm like, I wish she was here. But, like, it's more about accepting the fact, like, well, there are other good things that came out of my life. Like, yes, that fucking sucked. But I know, like, she's proud of who I became. I'm literally crying right now. Oh my god. But I'm like, I know she's proud of who I am. And then I took my pain and turned it into something beautiful. Like, I feel like we don't really appreciate the like, the potential of beauty that our pain holds. Another fucking quote, because I seem to just be quoting people this whole time. I wrote this in one of my essays for English in my senior year. And the quote was by Kurt Cobain. And it was, "Thank you for the tragedy. I need it for my art." And that is one of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard. Because I know that, like, even when I'm in a low point, and even if I'm feeling numb, I write my best work. Like, even at a time where I'm feeling essentially nothing, all of these thoughts are coming to my brain. And then I talk about that. Okay, I'm going to do something that I never do on here. And I'm going to read something that I wrote when I was in a pretty dark place. Just a warning, there's brief talk of self-harm in this. So if you need to skip over it, go ahead. But let's get started. My mind, an extremely dark and vicious place. All these evil thoughts consume the space. Previously filled with sunshine and joy, dreaming of dolls and aisles overflowing with toys. My value and worth now determined by boys. Broken dreams congesting up the rows in my brain. Could I hide away all these feelings, would you label me insane? I won't let you in, I'll push you away. I'll block you out and your words as you say. You can trust me. That's an interesting point now, you see. All my life I have learned nothing in this world comes for free. I don't want your kindness, don't give me your love. I've gotten to this point, I've truly had enough. All the darkness and pain that I have felt feels like a downward spiral to hell. No matter how many times I get back on track, to the dangerous habits I keep going back. Self-harm and destruction are what I know best. The agony and affliction get the weight off my chest. Now when I tell you, please don't be scared, I don't need your saving, I just want you to be prepared. When you see the burns and marks on my arm, please don't look at me with shock or alarm. My past turned my brain awfully dire. The sole comfort for me is now playing with fire. So that was a poem I wrote, I believe, in September. And it was part of my healing from, like, a really hard relationship. And, like, it wasn't just one relationship, honestly. It was a bunch of friendships that just didn't work out. And that's okay. Like, that's normal for things just not to work out. It's just I let myself, like, stay in a place where, like, I essentially didn't belong. Like, certain things just won't fit in life, and it's seriously like a puzzle, and certain pieces just aren't gonna fit. You can't fit the circle shape into the triangle, like, hole. Like, you know, that's just not how it works. So, like, I was just healing from that, and part of that time, though, I went back to my self-harm that I did originally in the December of that previous year, when I originally was, like, first part of that friend group. And, like, it was, like, a circle, like, a full circle moment. I started that friend group like that friend group ended like that. And then I was like, not all of this is my fault. Like, we all place so much blame on ourselves, and that's so detrimental to our mental health. There are at least 2 people in a relationship. That means both of those people are equally responsible for things that happen. Not for every single thing, but, like, for an event, there's not just one side. And, like, even if one person is responsible for what happened, the other person is responsible for their reaction, like, what happened before that, what happened after that. Like, it is not always just one person's fault for anything. Like, You just have to think about that. Like, don't put all this blame on yourself and all this pressure on yourself. Like, it's not only on you. The world is not on your shoulders. You do not have to hold up the weight of the world. You are just one person. You just have to keep it together for you. And with that, like, what I want you to take from that is only do what you can handle. Your only job is to keep yourself together. And if that means you have to fall apart once in a while to put yourself back together and find out what's truly meant for you, fall apart as many times as you need. Doesn't matter how many times you fall apart, as long as you, like, are able to put yourself back together. Every time that you put yourself back together, you come back stronger. You figure out a new technique. You figure out something new that you can use to your advantage. You are so fucking powerful, and you matter so much. You are so strong, and I love you. And you got this, okay? We're in it together. Okay, so with that, we are in this together. Okay, so anything you need, literally reach out to me. But I love you. Thank you for joining me this week. We're going to get through burnout together. We are going to get through pain together. We got this. We're friends, okay? We're best friends. You got this. I am literally going to be your number one supporter. I love you. And I can't wait to see you next Thursday. Like, I'll actually see you next Thursday. It's not going to be like last Thursday. Well, not last Thursday, but the Thursday before that, because I didn't see you last Thursday. But we got this. We're going to take breaks when we need, and we're going to come back together better. See, this episode was so much better than, like, I needed that break because I didn't have to rush an episode. In this episode, I loved this episode. I literally started crying during this episode. This episode, I feel like, was amazing. So, take your breaks. It's proof that you need to take breaks for your own mental health. I literally love you. And I'll see you next week. Mwah.